Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinars, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key of enhancing our performances and for our growth as professionals. With this principle in mind, TechGig has initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give a crisp insight of various domains. Today's session is second in the webinar series on cloud computing, giving insights of deployment models and service models in cloud computing. We are delighted to have Mr. Rohit Goyal, consultant Microsoft, with us today. Rohit works with Microsoft Global Delivery as a consultant. He works on multiple infrastructure products and services offered by Microsoft. He's an expert on Microsoft System Center products, virtualization solutions from Microsoft, Citrix, and VMware. Gentlemen, this presentation will continue for next 45 minutes and we will take your questions after the presentation. In the meanwhile, you can post your queries through the chat pane available in this webinar software. Without further ado, I introduce you to our guest speaker, Mr. Rohit.
Hi guys, my name is Rohit. I work for Microsoft and good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible? Can anyone answer this?
Yeah, you are
Question and
very much
answer both.
audible,
If I'm
and we
audible
can.
to everyone?
Yeah, you are audible, and we can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay. Since I have like around 28 slides, so I don't want to waste any more time. I'll straight away go to the cloud computing session. Okay, so in today's agenda, I have topics: what is the cloud? Why businesses embracing cloud? What are the reasons why business think moving to cloud nowadays? Okay. Then what are the IT challenges? Okay, so those are solved with cloud computing. Then we'll discuss about deployment models and what are the service model available if we have a cloud. So coming to my first slide, what is the cloud? So there would be like lot of definition, right, which are around cloud.
Can you please get your PPT in full screen mode?
Okay.
Yeah. This is fine now.
Yes. Can you now see? Okay. So what is the cloud, right? So just to make it very simple, there are a lot of definition nowadays on web and internet, right, about the cloud. So I try to make it like bit simple. The cloud is a set of services and technologies. Okay, that enable the delivery of computing services, and that too over the internet, right, and in real time. Okay, and it allow end user to instant access to data and application from almost any device available which has internet access. Okay. To define cloud, right, there are certain characteristics which need to be followed, right? So if I say a certain service is a cloud service, there should be some characteristics. So let me see like what are the main characteristics. It is sold on demand, typically by the minutes or on hourly basis. Right? So as I said, it's a service, right? It is elastic, so user can have as much as or as little as services as they want at any given point of a time. So they can demand more, or if they want to cut their resources, they can even ask for that also. The services is fully managed by the provider. So as I said, in cloud computing, right, it's actually outsourced kind of a service, and the consumers need nothing but a personal computer and the internet access. So as long as a customer or the user have internet access, he can connect to cloud computer resources. So nowadays we can see like a lot of businesses are actually adopting cloud computing, right? There are a lot of reasons why they are moving. So let's see what are the current challenges which are faced by the companies, right, which make them to adopt cloud. Licensing costs, right, it's a major cost for companies. So they most of the time they are not aware like how much licenses they need to purchase. Okay, they want to use the application, but they are not aware how much licenses they need, or if they have a licenses and some people are adding or going from the company, they don't know like how to cut the cost, right? So they cannot analyze that cost. Latest technology or upgrade, so this is another challenge, right? How to keep the infrastructure updated, right? So again, it's a cost for the company. Protecting data, how to protect the data, right, in the organization. It's another challenge. Right skill set, finding right skill set is also another challenge for business, because the business has to concentrate on its core offerings, right? But rather than that, they are like more occupied with the IT stuff nowadays. Operational cost, right? It's going high by high. Then operations continuity, right? How to keep the operations continue. Upgrading hardwares, how to upgrade the hardware and how to dispose of the obsolete hardware. It's another challenge for the company. And technology, as you see, it's changing day by day. So most of the IT departments are focused to spend a significant portion of their time on frustrating implementation, maintenance, and upgrade projects that too often don't add significant value to the company's bottom line. So company has a different business, but most of the time they are actually engulfed in the IT operations, right? And they'll lose focus from their core business. So every company asks, right, can cloud help me? Should I move to cloud, right? How can cloud help me, right, resolving the issues? And there are like furthermore challenges we can discuss in detail. So if I talk about the infrastructure side, okay, managing data center facility and space itself is a cost. You have to set up a data center, and that too, it's a cost for the company, right? Then providing power and air conditioning to the data center, it's again a cost for the company. Okay, coming to the management, then finding the right skill people. Okay, it's another challenge for company. Upgrading hardware, upgrading software, maintaining software, doing the day-to-day maintenance work in the data center, or keeping the software updated, hardware updated is another challenge for IT nowadays. Then handling operational failure is another segment, right, which is a big challenge for company, right, to how to maintain 24/7 operations. Most of the companies are working in 24/7 format nowadays, right? They have a global businesses. So if their data center is down or servers are down, again, it's a kind of money loss for the company, right? Or the business loss for the company. Then IT security, how to provide security to the data, right? It's another challenge. And protecting data center facility itself, it's a challenge nowadays, right? Hurricane is coming, right? And tsunamis are coming, right? So even physically protecting a data center, it's a big challenge for companies nowadays. And again, licensing costs, right? It's very difficult for companies to analyze, right? How to manage the licenses. Sometimes they have a license for a particular software for hundreds of users, right? But the only users who are using that license is only 20. So effective use is 20 licenses, but they have paid a cost for 100 licenses, right? How to cut that cost? It's again a big challenge. Then IT application management, as I said, upgrading application, right? Keeping application par with latest changes, features, right? It's another challenge. So if they want to upgrade application, it's again additional cost for a company. And how to scale application requirements, right? Application, hardware, software, hardware demand is increasing day by day, right? How to scale their application, right, according to requirements. It's again becoming a very big challenge for the company. So these are the few challenges which are actually sought out if they adopt the cloud business. And if I talk about like cloud business in the Indian context, right, it's not very overwhelming as of now, but a lot of Indian companies are now looking forward for cloud. But if I talk about outside India, right, many companies have adopted the cloud computer nowadays. So if I talk about benefits of cloud, reduce costs, Okay, you pay what you use. Companies subscribe to the services, and as they use those services, they have to pay the cost. Okay, it reduce the overall IT expensive. Right? Hello.
Hello.
So it reduces overall IT expensive by cutting down the costs on hardware and software networking, etc. Then rapid scalability, right? You can provision the servers very fast, right? You can provision the required application software very fast if it's a cloud, right? You can easily add up required bandwidth, processing speed, data storage, or number of license in very short time. And most of the data centers nowadays who are offering cloud services, they are actually almost automated, right? It's 100%. Most of the data center have achieved 100% automation. So you just place a request, within half an hour, 1 hour, you'll get the resource. And of course, organization can store more data than on private computer system. Highly automated. So as I said, there is no need for IT to worry about paying for future updates in terms of software and licensing or hardware. Disaster relief. So as I said, protecting a data center from natural calamities is another challenge, right? So if you have adopted a cloud computing with your company data, it safely store your data, right, in the data center instead of your own server room or a data center. Losing power due to hurricane, earthquake, or any construction worker cutting the power lines, right, that won't impact your operations because the data center which are providing a cloud service are highly available data centers, right? And you can access, if you have an internet connection, as I said, from anywhere and from almost any device. Flexibility. So cloud is very flexible, right? As I said, it's automated, right? Cloud computing offer much more flexibility than past computing method. Right, so if you place a request for a specific application or service, right, that can be taken care within like half an hour or 1 hour. You have an application and you can just start working on those. So services availability is very fast. More mobility. So as I said, you can connect from anywhere since it's over the internet, right? So employee can access information wherever they are, rather than having to remain at their desk. So it's a big advantage. So most of the time now, right, there is a concept of work from home, work from field, right? People are more into traveling nowadays, so they can connect with the cloud computing, right? So from anywhere, and as I said, almost from any device. Allow IT to shift focus. No longer having to worry about constant server updates and other computing issue. Organization will be free to concentrate on their core business, right? They don't need to worry about the IT operations now, okay? Because they have already adopted a cloud, so they can concentrate more on their businesses in spite of concentrating on their IT stuff, right? So it shifts a focus for a business. World-class service delivery. So cloud computing infrastructure offer much more great scalability, complete disaster recovery because they are like highly available data centers, and impressive uptime numbers. So almost every cloud computing is these days actually offer 99.5% of availability time, right? If I talk about in terms of service availability. Coming to the deployment method, so when we talk about cloud, right, there are certain deployment methods which are available, okay, according to business needs. So first is a public cloud offering, right? It's the most popular form of cloud and many times referred as a multi-tenant. So multi-tenant, what I mean is you have a same data center for all the subscribers, right? But it has a capability to distinguish, right, in the traffic and data, and it segregate according to the customer or the subscriber, right? So it has a capability, it can distinguish what data is meant for which customer, which traffic belong to each customer based on some policies, right? So the easiest example could be kind of a VLAN. On the network level, we can put a VLAN, right? So, and it can segregate according to customers. Resources are dynamically provisioned on a fine-grained self-service basis. So we have like portal kind of a stuff nowadays, right? You can self-provision whatever you want over the internet, web services, right? From an off-site third-party provider who share resources and bill on a fine-grained utility computing basis, you pay for what you use, right? So you can increase your subscription. If you want more resources, you can just place a request within half an hour or 1 hour. You'll get your request would be filled with, and you are just paying whatever you use, right? So there will be a extensive reporting which is available to the subscriber. He can see the trend, how he is using the services, right? And it's only charge what he uses. Example of public cloud could be your Windows Azure. Windows Azure Services Platform, or if I talk about any other Microsoft services, then it's Office 360. So these are like offering from Microsoft. Then we have a Google App Engine. It's another public cloud offering. IBM has a Blue Cloud, and then we have Amazon EC2. So these are the few examples of public cloud which user or companies can subscribe to. So let's move how it looks, right? So if I talk about public cloud, how the setup look like. So I have a subscriber facility. It's an organization facility, right? You have a client accessing the public cloud from within the security perimeter. So security perimeter is nothing but it's a security boundary within the organization. Okay, and boundary controllers are actually a firewalls, or if you are using a VPN, then it's a VPN. Otherwise, it's mostly a firewall, which is termed as a boundary controller. So this is company's facility, which is subscriber in this case. Then I have a public cloud. Okay. So if I see here, if it's a public cloud offering, right, you don't need to, or the customer doesn't need to worry about the hardware, software, okay, how the access will be given. So if you see here, right, clients are accessing the public cloud from outside. Since it's a multi-tenant, you can see the other organizations are also accessing, right? Other users are also accessing the same cloud, right? If hardware is obsolete, hardware can be replaced, right? You can see the new hardware here. Then all or defective hardware can be removed. Okay, client terminating access, right? If you are just calling off the subscription services, or you don't want to use services further, right? Those can be terminated by a public cloud service provider. So if I see this, the communication channel, right? So this is a communication channel. So this is my organization. They are connecting to the public cloud, okay, and they are connecting to one of the services which is provided, right? And the same services or servers are accessed by the other users also. And all the stuff, all the services or facilities or hardwares or softwares, whether it's upgrade or removing old hardware, putting new hardware, right? All those things are actually managed by the public cloud provider. So customer doesn't need to worry about anything. Just pay what you use and you can just start. Coming to the second form of deployment model, which is a private cloud. So it's an implementation of cloud services on resources that are actually dedicated to your organization, right? Those are meant only for your organization, whether they exist in your own premises or off premises, right? a private cloud share many of the characteristics of public cloud computing. So these characteristics could be flexibility, scalability, right? So those are actually common with all the cloud scenarios, right? Including resource pooling, self-service, elasticity, pay by use, delivered in a standardized manner with the additional control and customization available from dedicated resources. So when I talk about private cloud, right, it can be on premises or it can be off premises, right? Okay, but the resources are actually blocked dedicatedly for a specific business or for a specific organization, right? Example of private cloud could be your Microsoft ECI data centers, which is called as Microsoft Enrollment for Core Infrastructure. Eucalyptus is another form of private cloud or another form of private cloud offering. Ubuntu Enterprise Cloud is another form which is offered, powered by Eucalyptus. Amazon has offering as VPC. Another player which is in private cloud is VMware Cloud Infrastructure Suite. They offer VMware Cloud Infrastructure Suite. So if I see using some diagrams, right, how the private cloud look like. So as I said, there are two models which can be on premises and another which can be off premises. So if I talk about on premises private cloud, right, so that private cloud actually looks like similar to this diagram. And it's, as I said, it's a on premises. Let me just on-site private cloud. Okay, so outsides are not allowed. So if you see here, outside access is blocked. Okay. Resources and the users or the subscriber who are consuming those resources are within the security boundary or the security parameter, right? And this data center or a private cloud is actually located within the premises of your business, right? So when you have to choose whether you need to go with a private cloud or with a public cloud, or you want to go with a hybrid cloud, right? You have to give a very serious thought, right? What the business required, right? How much data you want to put on public, how much data you want to keep it in your own premises, right? So these are the few areas you need to think, right, before you subscribe for any kind of a computing or the cloud computing. So in this case, data center is actually, or the private cloud is actually set up within the premises of the consumer or the subscriber, or in other words, business. The second format which we have in private cloud is off premises. So let me just give that to you. Okay, so we have one segment which is again, it's organization. Then I have one more part which is actually a cloud offering, which is actually located at the service provider end. So this is, on left hand side, this is my own premises. On right hand side, this is the provider facilities, or you can say the person who is, or the company who is providing a private cloud services. Okay, and let me show you how the connection. So this is your private cloud. So as I said, if I talk about private cloud, you have a separate sources, right, dedicated, or which is privately available only to your business, right? Those are dedicated to your business. And those two locations, or two, your premises and the provider premises, are actually connected over internet using a boundary controller. So as I said, boundary control is nothing but sort of some security measures. So in this case could be a firewall. Okay, and these two locations are connected. Users within the organization will access private cloud resources dedicated for the company over the internet, right? This is the subscriber facility, as I said. And the right hand side is your cloud service provider facilities. And this format is your outsourced private cloud. So these are two offerings which are available when we talk about private cloud. Then coming to the third form of deployment model, which is community. This model, I would say, it's not very popular, right? A community cloud refers to cloud computing environment shared and managed by different organizations that have same or the similar requirements and are sharing the infrastructure in order to realize some of the benefits of cloud computing. Okay, so these can be, this kind of a deployment can be within two organizations which are into similar kind of a requirement, right? An example could be Microsoft Government Community Cloud, or Google has Google Apps for Government. So these two could be example of community cloud, right? So if I see in a diagram format, right, how the community cloud looks like. So I have an organization A, I have an organization B, I have an organization C, right? And we have a local cloud. Okay, and all organizations have their own security boundaries. They have boundary controllers or their own respective firewalls. Okay, clients are accessing remote resources. Okay, and they have their own security boundaries, as I said, right? On the other hand, on right hand side, you can see I have one more organization X. I have one more organization Y. I have one more organization which is Z, right? They have their own set of users who are accessing resources. They follow their own security boundaries within the organization. Okay. And then these two communities or organizations have the same interest, can connect, right? And they can use a cloud services. So this is how the two community cloud can be created, and it's an on-site community cloud. Okay, so this is the local cloud which is available on the right hand side, and organization X, Y, Z, they are actually accessing the cloud services here. There is one another form for cloud computing. So on right hand side you can see cloud provider facility. Okay. Then again we have organization X, organization Y, organization Z. Then they have their own security boundaries. Client accessing the community cloud from within their security parameters. And this is community organization consuming cloud resources. Right? So these communities have a similar interest, or they could be like similar businesses also. Right? They have a boundary controller of their own, and they connect with the cloud provider facility. So if I just click on this, you can see organization X, Y, Z, they are consuming resources, right, through firewalls from the cloud provider facilities. And again, since it's a dedicated resources for the communities X, Y, Z, other organization or businesses, they have a blocked access. So you can see this red marks is actually nothing but it's blocking access to other businesses, right? So residing in the same facility or cloud computer facility, provider facilities. Sorry. And they consume organization XYZ, they consume the services. So this is termed as outsourced community cloud. Then the fourth kind of a deployment model is called as a hybrid. So what is hybrid? A hybrid cloud is an environment where in an organization provides and manages some resources in-house and has others provided externally. So it's nothing, it's but a combination of different deployment models available. So it can be you have a private cloud and then you subscribe some services from public cloud. So you are consuming both kind of cloud services. You have private, you have a public, and then you are using the resource, right? So as I said, right, previously also. So before moving to cloud, right, so companies need to give a very serious thought, right? What is their needs? What data they want to put on public cloud, right? What data they want in-house? So they have to analyze all these things and then opt for a right deployment model. So if I give an example, an organization might use a public cloud service for archive data, but continue to maintain in-house storage for operational customer data, right? So this could be one of the examples. Hybrid approach allow a business to take advantage of scalability and cost effectiveness that public cloud computing. So if I see in diagram like how the hybrid cloud looks like. So you can see on left hand side on top, right, I have on-site private cloud. So I have my own on-site private cloud, right? I have outsourced private cloud also, I'm consuming that. Then some on-site community clouds are also there. Outsourced community clouds are there. And then public cloud offering is also there, right? And these are actually communicating with each other, right? So this is how they connect. So it can be in other way around also. So they can communicate with one or two kind of a cloud, or they can talk to each other, right? So such kind of a setup, right? And that is called a hybrid cloud. This is hybrid cloud. So if I do a quick comparison, right, between the deployment models available today, so there are like certain criteria wherein you can compare. So infrastructure managed by, infrastructure owned by, infrastructure located, accessible and consumed by. On extreme left, I have a kind of a model. If I talk about public model, right? Public model infrastructure is managed by third-party provider. Okay, so third-party provider is nothing but a person or a company who is providing a cloud service. Infrastructure owned by third-party provider. So the entire infrastructure, facility, space, right? All the IT resources, right? Those are actually owned by the cloud service provider. Infrastructure located off premises. So if you are opting for a public cloud, right, all the data or whatever services you are accessing, those are offshore or off premises. Accessible and consumed by untrusted. So if I talk about this trusted and untrusted, I have put a small star here. So if I talk about trusted consumers are those who are considered part of an organization legal contractual policy umbrella, including employees or contractors and business partners. And the untrusted are those who may be authorized to consume am I audible now? Because I'm getting a message. Voice is disconnected.
You are audible.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so as I said, trusted and untrusted, I've marked it as a star. So untrusted consumer are those that may be authorized to consume some or all services, but are not logical extension to the organization. So this would be the points you need to consider when I talk about untrusted and trusted. If I talk about private or the community, right, kind of a deployment model. So in this kind of a scenario, infrastructure is managed by organization or third-party provider, right? So if it's a private, it can be in-house, right? It can be managed by the organization itself, or if it's a outsourced, then the third party would be the owner. Infrastructure owned by organization or third party provider. Infrastructure located, so if it's a on-premises private, so it would be in your own premises or business own premises, and if it's outsourced, then it's off-premises. Accessible and consumed by trusted. So only the people who are within the security parameters, those can access the resource. Hybrid, both organization and third-party provider. As I said, hybrid is a combination of different deployment models, right? So it can be both organization, third-party provider, managed by. Infrastructure owned by, it can be owned by both organization and third-party provider. Infrastructure, it can be on premises or off premises. That option is there. And then accessible and consumed by, since it's a combination of different cloud computing deployment models, it is trusted and trusted both. So it's consumed and accessed by trusted as well as untrusted consumers. So this was a quick comparison. So coming to the service model, so far we have seen the deployment models. What are their formats like? How they look like when we see in a diagrammatic format, right? And coming to the service model, we have three kind of a service models, right, available currently when we talk about cloud computing. So that is SaaS. It's a software as a service. So you can opt software as a service. You can subscribe for that. Then platform as a service is another services which are offered by service providers, cloud service providers. Then we have infrastructure as a service. This is another format of service model. So let's go ahead and see these model in detail now. SaaS is software as a service, right? So it's a full form. In simple terms, software deployed as a hosted service and access over the internet. So I believe this could be the simplest definition. So software which is deployed on hosted services and which can be accessed or consumed over the net. So that service is software as a service. So I could give a example here. So if I talk about Microsoft, right, Office 360, those are actually a software as a service. So you can subscribe for mails, email solution, Exchange online. You can subscribe for SharePoint online. We have offering on Lync. So those are example of software as a service. Right? So who are subscribers, right? If I talk about software as a services, right? Who are the consumer, right? Organization providing their members or employees with access to typical software applications such as email. So as I said, softwares are actually deployed on the cloud provider premises in the public cloud, right? And the subscriber will consume, right? So these subscribers are your organization employees. What does the subscriber get? The right to use specific application on demand and application data management such as backup and data sharing between subscribers. So these are the services which are consumed by subscribers. How usage fees are calculated in such scenarios? Typically based on number of users, the time in use, per execution, per record process, network bandwidth consumed or used, and quantity or duration of data stored, right? So in cloud computing, right, there are like a lot of reporting mechanism, right? Generally, companies who are providing cloud computing, they have a sophisticated tool which can give a very in-depth reports, right? And based on those, fees are actually calculated, or subscription fees are calculated for consumers. Then another service model is PaaS, which is full form is platform as a service. So PaaS provides a toolkit for conveniently deploying and administrating application software that is structured to support large number of subscribers, process very large quantities of data, and can be accessed from any point in the internet. Okay. So this is the definition of PaaS. Platform as a service, if I talk about some example, right? It could be Windows Azure, right? So we have a service called as Windows Azure. So it's kind of it's provide a set of software building blocks where you can subscribe for that. You can build your own set of development tools, right? It provides tools, right? And you can do programming. We can provide programming language. So you can develop your own tools, software using platform as a service. So it typically provide a set of software building blocks and a set of deployment tools such as programming language and supporting runtime environments that facilitate the construction of high quality scalable applications. So this service is actually valuable. It's very valuable, right, for the organization who are into software development. So they can create their own application using platform as a service on cloud. And the biggest advantage, as I said, of cloud computing is as long as you want to use it, you can use it. If you feel you don't want to use it, you can just discontinue it, right? There is no need of like calculating the licensing costs and all those stuff, right? But on the other part, if you are purchasing your own applications and developing tools, right, that is a cost, right? So in case of PaaS, who are the subscribers? So subscriber could be application developers who design and implement an application software. It could be application testers who run application in various testing environment, possibly cloud-based. Application deployers, right, who publish completed application into the cloud and manage possible conflict arising from multiple versions of an application. Or the subscriber could be application administrator who configure, tune, and monitor application performance on a specific platform. Or application end users who subscribe to the application deployed on a PaaS cloud. To end user access to application the same as using a SaaS cloud. So this is another very good format, right? The application user who subscribe to the application deployed on a PaaS cloud to end users, right? And access the application the same as using a SaaS cloud. What does the subscriber get? So in PaaS, the use of PaaS cloud provided tools and execution resources to develop, test, deploy, and administer your own application. So this is the service which the subscriber get if they opt for PaaS. How the fees is calculated now? So it typically based on number of subscribers, the kind of subscribes, right? Example could be developers versus application and users, or storage, processing, or network resources consumed by the platform, requested services, and the time the platform is in use. So, and there could be like combination. So suppose if my application want to use some SQL, right, in the background. So in this case, we would be calculating the fees if we are taking an extra component of SQL database, right? So those things need to be considered when we calculate the usage fees, right, for cloud computing in PaaS. Okay. So coming to infrastructure as a service, it's another form. Okay. which is called as infrastructure as a service, and in form of service offerings. So infrastructure as a service is deliver computer infrastructure, typically a platform virtualization environment as a service, along with raw block storage and networking. So infrastructure as a service, a subscriber actually demands for the infrastructure. So infrastructure, as I said, it could be a virtualized platform or a networking resource or a storage resource. Rather than purchasing server, software, data center space, or network equipment, client instead buy those resources as a full outsourced service. And generally, infrastructure as a service offerings are actually self-provision, right? You can increase or decrease resources as and when you need to. You can just demand these resources online. Okay, so who are the subscribers for infrastructure as a service? Generally, in an organization, it could be system administrators, right, who require the infrastructure kind of a service, maybe the VMs, maybe the storage, maybe the networking. Right? What does a subscriber get? If you are a consumer of this service, what they get? Access to virtual computers, network accessible storage, network infrastructure components such as firewall and configuration services. So these are the things which are actually consumed in infrastructure as a service. How are usage fees calculated? Typically per CPU hour, data or data GB stored per hour, network bandwidth consumed, or network infrastructure use, example IP addresses. So if you are demanding for like 5 system, 5 IP, so the fees could be calculated on based on those parameters. Or value added services used, example monitoring, automating scaling. So these are the few criteria, right, based on what usage fees would be calculated if you are consuming infrastructure as a service. So if I see the overall service placement, right, in cloud computing, so service placement would something look like to this diagram, right? You have a server, you have a desktop, you have a tablet, you have phones, you have a laptops, right, which are connecting over the internet. Okay, and then you have an infrastructure layer where you have a network, you have a storage, you have a servers, you have a virtualized servers, right? You have a VMs, right? All those are part of your infrastructure or the infrastructure as a service, right? So you can say this could be a cloud layer, right? Then you have another layer which is a platform as a service, what is offered at this layer. Okay, then you have object storage in this, you have identity management, you have a runtime queue, databases. So all those things actually comes under platform as a service offering. Then you have another layer at top which is application, right? Or you can say it's a innermost core in the cloud sphere. Okay, so in this you have like monitoring the content, collaboration, communication, and you have application hosted or subscribed, right, as software as a service. So this is another layer when we talk about service placements. And of course, these are residing in the cloud, so it could be public, private, or community, or it could be mix of various deployment models, which is called as hybrid. And these are consumed using tablet, desktop, laptops, phones, connected servers connected over the internet. So if I talk about some summary for today's session, so looked at what is the cloud, right? So as I said, it's a services and application, right, which can be accessed over the internet and on subscription basis. Okay. Then we have seen the challenges and benefits from cloud. So IT challenges which are generally faced by business, which actually divert them from their core business, right? So we have seen those challenges, how to manage, uh, like managing their IT facility, managing their data center, managing licensing costs, right? How to maintain 24/7 operations in data center. So those were some challenges which are faced by business. That's the reason, like most of the business are nowadays embracing cloud services, okay, and they are more focused now on their own core businesses. We have seen benefits from cloud, right? So whether it was from cost perspective, from management perspective, right, from pay as you use perspective, right, so from maybe from licensing perspective, right, we have seen a lot of benefits from cloud computing. You can, it's very scalable, right, you can scale it, it's very flexible, right, within half an hour or to one to a half to 1 hour you can demand the services and you can get those, right. So we have seen a bit on benefit side. Then we have touched upon some deployment models, right? Private cloud, public cloud. We have seen community cloud, right, which has a similar kind of a business or similar interest, right? They have a community cloud, right? Then we have seen hybrid cloud, which is nothing but the combination of various cloud deployment models. You have a combination and then you have a hybrid cloud. Then we have seen some service model, software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, right? And who are the subscribers for these services? What are the services you consume when you opt for one of these service models? And we have touched upon comparison, right, between the deployment models on the basis of who are the consumer, how the services are located, whether it's on premises, off premises. So we have seen those deployment model and how to differentiate between those models. So coming to the question and answer, so let me just see what are the questions posted.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Rohit. I've shared the questions with you.
Okay, so I have a question. Let me just go through it first. So I can see one question, right, from, let me see. Okay, so I got one question from Philip Jacob. So I want to just straight up answer it. So he asked, like, as a MS professional, in your opinion, how do you think MS 360 is better than Google Apps? I just want to make clear, like, I'm not doing any comparison here, right? It's not a like competition-based session. It was like very generic one. It's not concentrated on Microsoft technology or like being in a Microsoft, I know there are a lot of offering, right, for the maybe from cost perspective, right, and how we manage our services, right. But I don't want to get inside the competition stuff at this moment. VPN browser providers. Yeah, so there is one more question from Ravi Tyagi. How the breakdown will handle, right? For example, to update the hardware at cloud provider, then there could be breakdown for some time. There are actually service level agreement, right, between the consumer and the service provider. Okay, so I will not get into the breakdown, right? So breakdown is like unexpected. Okay, but as I said, these nowadays cloud computing providers, they have very highly available facilities or data centers, right? So as I said, 99.5 availability, right? They put actually nowadays. Okay, and some for maintenance there is actually buying from consumer, right? So all those things actually put into the contract when you subscribe for some services from cloud provider, right? These things are actually go into your agreements. Okay, so there is one more question from Amit Naik. Okay, so he's asking how to get certification on cloud. Can you just guide? So as far as I know, there are like certain certification on security side, right? Maybe you can connect with me and I can let you know. So there is few certificates which are available on security side of a cloud, right? How you judge, right? How you manage the security for cloud. What are the things you need to take into consideration before you design a security for a cloud, right? So those things maybe I can guide you. You can connect with me. So there is one more question from Dharmendra Kumar, right? So he's asking, I want to know where actually the data physically stored in cloud computing. Okay, is it something like we purchase domain name and web space and store our data there, right? So if I talk about cloud computing, again there is no another way we can save the data. So it's actually on a physical storage only. If it's a public, right, it actually is stored again on the service providers end, right? But there is a contractual thing, right, which you can do with a service provider, and every service provider has their different uh, they mention in the contract actually, right? So they are liable to keep your data for some time, right? If you want to take that data, you can contact the service provider. Actually, these things come into contract, how your data will be treated. So every uh, cloud provider or cloud service provider has a different norms, right? But these things actually put into the contract. Okay, then there is one more interesting question from Binoy, right? Binoy Kuruvila. When you mean virtualization, how do you add hardware to the cloud? Um, if I talk about like cloud computing providers, right? They have like scalability. They have worked out the scalability, how much hardware is needed. Okay, and they can keep adding, right? Keep adding the hardware as and when required. So virtualization is actually is done on the upper layer, right? It's on the server layer. Underneath, you can scale up your hardware when and as and when required. Then there is one more question from Mufaddal Tahudwala. Right? If somehow the firewall is compromised, then does it make the cloud vulnerable to attack? Right? As of now, I didn't see any such incidents. Right? The firewall has been compromised, and if it happens, of course, like any other network, right? If firewall is compromised, then the cloud is vulnerable to attack. Right? Nothing is like solid rock, right, in this world. Okay. How does cloud handle terms? Then there is one more question from Himanshu Rawal. It says a survey result says initial customer of cloud computing are not satisfied. It is so. Maybe I'm not aware about this survey. So if Himanshu can share me further details, right? Maybe I can comment on this, but I'm not sure like which survey is talking about. Then there is a question from Bharat Reddy. Among customers who are using SaaS currently, are a majority of them small and medium enterprise? What is the acceptability among large organizations in implementing this idea? So if I talk about software as a service, right, I myself has seen very big customers using SaaS, right? I don't want to name those, right? Uh, okay, but those are like one of the top companies, right, or the organization who are making use of SaaS services nowadays. Okay, so this could be like SharePoint Online or Exchange Online, Link Online. So the numbers are very good, right? A lot of medium and small enterprises are using this. So not even medium, I have seen the big organization which are like beyond medium, right? They are actually users of SaaS services nowadays. One more interesting question, Harish T is asking how secure the cloud is, right? So as of now, I never heard of any incident, right, in my company or outside that the cloud has sacrificed or so. So far I can say it's one of the secured format, right, which is available. Then there is one more question from Santosh Bulusu. He is asking what is the best combination of service model and deploy model that can provide maximum security. So as I said in my during the session also, right, companies need to give a very serious thought before they decide on the deployment model or a service model. Service model is a bit simple, right? Whether you want to use a software as a service or infrastructure as a service based on the requirement, right? But whether you want to place it on a public cloud or you want to keep as a private on premises, it's a very business specific need, right? As I said, if it's a very critical data, though there are a lot of contract happen, right? When you opt for any deployment model or cloud services, right? A lot of legal stuff is there. Okay, and all are most of this cloud offering are done by the big companies, right? So they are bind with some legal bindings also, right? So security shouldn't be a problem when you move to cloud. The only thing is you need to decide on is what data you want to keep in-house and what data you want to move on public cloud. And you need to give a very serious thought on those lines. Okay, then there is one more question from Ravi Tyagi, but I think he has left. So he was asking how the security is handling has all the information application available at internet, right? So there are like certain protocols, right? When when I talk about communicating over the internet also, right? There are a lot of mechanism we can secure the information, right? We can secure the information over the internet. It could be certificates, right? Tunneling certificates, right? So those are the few mechanisms which can be used, right? You can protect the communication, though still it's on internet. Then there is one more question. I'm not like very clear, so I could just request Rama Vedkar to actually rephrase his questions. I'm not able to understand that one, so you can connect with me after this session. So there is one more question from Sahil Agnihotri. He's asking, how can one start a career as a cloud programmer, as it's going to be next big thing? Any recommendation for startup? So not sure about the other companies, right? So as far as MS is concerned, like a lot of development happens on .NET. Okay, a lot of automation is happening using PowerShells, right? So you can look on those areas as a programmer, right? A lot of development actually nowadays happens. If I talk about various cloud computing companies, right? A lot of development happens on the part of managing cloud, right? Effectively, how the cloud would be managed, right? So as I said in my presentation, right, applications are becoming very sophisticated nowadays, right? If I'm paying for services, right, so I need an in-depth report, how much I use, how I use, right? I need to see the trend in my company, how people are consuming the services. For all these things, apart from this, for calculating the cost, right, for managing servers, for self-provisioning servers, right, for all these things you require automation, right, and a lot of development is required to develop such tools. A lot of effort goes into development. So you can think on those lines, right? How can you add value, right, when it comes to cloud, right, in terms of managing infrastructure, right, generating reports for cloud services. So you can think on those lines, and then you can decide how you want to start a career as a programmer in cloud. Okay, then there is one more interesting question from Anup. Is asking, any company invest in infrastructure licensing, etc. for one time, right? But in cloud, every time they have to pay for usage. In long run, cloud may turn into expensive business. So I don't agree with this statement, Anup. Okay, I agree you invest in infrastructure licenses, right? But you need to think for a longer term, right? So if I'm purchasing one hardware today, right, you may be knowing, right, software demand is increasing, right? They are becoming more resource hungry, right? How do you want to replace those hardware in coming years, right? You have to remove those, bring new hardware, right? All those things goes into infrastructure. Then on networking, right, I can see now network interface card which is coming up to 10 gigs, right? Because because companies' requirement or application requirements are increasing day by day, right? You have to keep upgrading your infrastructure to cope up with the current demand, right? The same with the licensing, right? You have purchased 100 licenses, but in future you would be seeing only 20 licenses are used, right? We have already paid licensing fees for 100 applications or 100 licenses we have already purchased, right, for a certain application, but only 20 are actually effectively used by the user. So you are paying for 80 instance, right? 80 instance of licensing extra. But if you see in cloud, as and when you want, you can cut down the number, you can increase the number, right? So those things you need to consider, right? Uh, uh, then there is one more very good question from Srijit Tilak, right? He's asking how task scheduling is done in cloud, as millions of tasks need to be processed in small time. So as I said during my presentation, right, these tasks are not done manually, right? There are certain tools or orchestrated tools which are developed by the cloud computing service provider. They have sophisticated tools, automated tools, right? You just place a request, right? Once that request comes, that is picked by one application, right? It processes according to requirement, and it triggers the entire process flow in the background, right? And it can create anything or everything, right, required for that specific demand. So for example, if you are demanding one more VM, if you are using infrastructure as a service and you require one more server, okay, then do you think that server is actually built manually? It's not actually. So in the background, orchestrated software are used. We have already certain code done, right? So once you place a request, some process will trigger in the background, and it will automatically create a VM, place a VM according to the customer demand, put the IPs, put the tools. So everything is automated in the background. So it's not a manual process. So I believe Himanshu Rawal has shared some further detail. Maybe I'll just go through this and maybe then I can comment on this. Okay, then one more question from Sonika. I think she has already left. We have to pay if any amount for PaaS, SaaS, and infrastructure as a service separately. So I'm not aware of. There could be some offers, right? If you are buying in bulk all the services like platform, infrastructure, and software as a service, right? Maybe there could be some offering from service provider which I am not aware of, right? If you want specifically for MS, maybe I can check and maybe get back to you. Okay, then there is one more question from Naresh Kumar. What happened if any disaster happened in a cloud server? So I think he means to say if something happened to the cloud facility or premises, right? So as I said, these facilities are very highly available. Okay. So it's not that it's located only at one location. They have a they have a highly available facilities for one data center. And apart from this, if in case some disaster happens, so as I said, there are a lot of legal and contractual thing which comes into the picture, right? That the service provider has to pay certain amount, right? If a client or subscriber is losing some business due to the downtime, right? It's it's a contractual thing. So if you are opting for a cloud computing, you can check those documents before you opt for a cloud computing. So there are some penalty clauses.
Yeah, I think we can answer one or two more questions and then we can conclude the session.
Yeah, sure. There is one more question from Santosh. I understand SaaS, PaaS, and infrastructure as service are the three predominant service model. I have come across various other service model. To what extent do you think? Santosh, I would appreciate if you can just connect me on this. Let me see like what exactly other various service model you have come across, right? So I cannot comment unless I see those what are the things you come across. But as these are the three like most popular form of services which are currently offered by cloud computing providers.
Yeah, so is it done from your side?
Yeah, from my side it's almost done. So I like few questions. Maybe I can answer those people personally. Maybe. So is there a way I can get these questions or
Yeah, so we
or
can
these
share the questions
these will
which
be
are asked with the participants
okay.
in this session. I'll
Okay.
share the questions with you.
So all the unanswered question I'll take it offline. Okay, and maybe I'll connect with the people and then we'll take it forward from there. So thanks everyone for your time and patience for listening to me for at least 1.5 hours. And thanks Keshav for giving an opportunity. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Mr. Rohit, for your informative session on deployment models and service models in cloud computing. It was indeed an enlightening session. I would also like to thank our participants for their support in making this webinar a huge success. The recording of this webinar will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. The next session in the cloud computing series is happening Monday, that is 16 January at 3 p.m. Topic for the webinar will be Cloud, is that a big deal for software testing? We'll be having Mr. Mukul Rajashahi, Project Lead, Cloud Computing at Persistent Systems Limited as our guest speaker. So see you all on Monday. Have a nice day. Thank you.